Hello everyone! Painting in front of the team part 2 is here. Let's go Shiratorizawa and Shiratorizawa fans, because on today's agenda is Semi's collabs. Yeah, so all I'm going to say is I hope you will enjoy this, and let's not keep you away from the story for too long, shall we? Let's go. As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons and all of you who subscribe and watch these videos. You are keeping this channel alive and going. Thank you very much, and I hope you will enjoy. Going on a field trip into the mountains was definitely not among Ushijima's brightest ideas. Sure, the nature and views were stunning, but Semi couldn't shake off the feeling their captain was trying to kill them. Or maybe just him, who knew, since others didn't seem to struggle as much. Oh, how he envied them. His backpack felt heavier than a pile of bricks as he dragged his legs over the rocks and roots, his brain too tired to think about anything other than putting one foot in front of the other, rinse and repeat. The thing was, he couldn't understand why that was. Sure, he never considered himself an outdoorsy person, but he was an athlete for God's sake. Going through regular practices every week, he should be able to walk up a mountain. And yet, he was already out of breath and dying of embarrassment whenever one of his younger teammates looked at him with pity. But nothing felt worse than when he caught Shirabu's gaze full of disappointment. He could deal with snarky remarks on his endurance, or lack thereof, or simply with the other setter being a rude brat like usual, but disappointment? That stung. You should drink something. He sighed. I'm fine. Yeah? You don't look fine. I haven't seen you drink or eat anything since we started the hike. Since when are you my mother? Hayato threw him a challenging glare, and Semi quickly grumbled an apology under his breath. Of course Hayato cared. He always did, about everyone and especially his friends. I'm not thirsty, and just imagining food makes me sick. A soft hum came from his side before Hayato laid his hand against his forehead. Interesting. Wakatoshi, go for a stop, would you? What? Why? Why not? We've been walking for a while already, and you need to sit down. Another protest already halfway out of his mouth, Semi was interrupted by Ushijima calling for a break and waving the whole group to the side towards a small patch of rocks and logs. With a resignated sigh, he followed the others and took the backpack off of his back, only realizing how much he needed to sit down when he no less than slumped on one of the logs. Damn it, this is so humiliating. Tired already, Semi-san? His head snapped up. Under any other circumstances, he would be nothing but charmed by seeing Shirabu standing above him like this, with his cheeks flustered and slightly mussed up hair from the exercise. However, the judgment glaring at him from his eyes kinda took away most of the charm. I'm fine, mind you, and don't be rude to your senior. Shirabu's expression remained unchanged, except for his eyes narrowing. Since when does being curious equal being rude? I'm just concerned about your stamina. Semi growled when Tendo's snicker reached his ears. I'm sure Semi-san has more than enough stamina. Thanks, Goshiki. He turned back to Shirabu, trying to put on a neutral face. You don't have to be concerned about me. Who says I'm concerned about you? If you can't even finish a hike, how do you expect to last a whole match? Semi suppressed a flinch, Shirabu's words hurting more than he would like to admit. He didn't need to last the whole match. Not anymore. Not since Shirabu took the spot of the main setter from him. He was over the initial sourness, knowing well what was behind the decision, but he would appreciate if he wasn't being dug into like this. Eita is as capable physically as all of us. Semi blinked in surprise, but he would lie if he said hearing those words from Ushijima didn't warm his heart. He was about to throw Shirabu a victorious grin when he paused, confused by Shirabu's expression. If he didn't know better, he would say the younger boy looked jealous. With a click of his tongue, Shirabu then turned away, his cheeks a shade redder than before. If you say so. Before Sami could think about the whole situation too much, Shirabu walked away and Hayato pushed a water bottle into his hands. Did I miss something? Hayato gave him a somewhat pitying, yet goofy smile as he leaned to his ear. He has a crush, don't you know that? Shirabu? Since when? Who? Oh. Of course. He should have known from how Shirabu always looked at Ushijima at practice, especially when he and Same talked. And who wouldn't crush on Ushijima? He shouldn't really be surprised. But it still hurt. Drink something. I'm not thirsty. I will kick your ass if you don't drink this very moment. Not a single doubt in his mind that Hayato would carry out the threat without blinking an eye. He took a sip of water, a shiver running down his spine as the cool liquid chilled his throat. Under Hayato's supervision, he drank about 1/3 of his bottle before the libero seemed content. Why was it such a bother for Hayato anyway? He was fine. He blinked a few times when he stood up, a sudden vertigo making him lightheaded for a second or two. Fortunately, it didn't seem like anyone noticed his wavering, and he could continue scaling up the hill without more jabbing remarks. The pair of caramel-colored eyes burning through his back made him squirm inwardly, just like the whole way up. Even when they finally stood at the peak and could enjoy the views unobstructed by trees, Shirabu was watching him rather than the panorama. Why, Sami couldn't tell. He made sure not to show any of the weakness of his legs, nor the fact his ears felt like they were stuffed with cotton, as he didn't need more people pointing it out. Least of all Tendo and Shirabu. His ankles felt like weighed down by lead as they slowly descended back to where the bus stop was, his limbs actually trembling the lower they got, and he had a lot to do not to tumble down head first. And Shirabu's eyes still didn't leave him for longer than a few moments. What is he doing? Doesn't he have something else to take interest in? Just as he thought that, his knee buckled under him, sending him to the ground with a startled yelp. He managed to stop the fall before he could slide down the rocky path, but the main damage was already done. Are you okay? What happened? I'm fine, just stumbled over something. He reluctantly accepted Hayato's offered hand, a sudden wave of heat bathing him in cold sweat. Great. Should we take your backpack? You don't look so good. For Ushijima to say that, he had to look horrible. Yet, he refused to bother anyone with his strange weakness and shook his head, readjusting the backpack straps on his shoulders. I'm fine. We are almost done anyway. You are incredibly reckless, did you know? Frowning, he turned to Shirabu, prepared for some other remark. But to his surprise, despite his own frown, Shirabu just shook his head and turned away, almost as if he wanted to show Semi he was done with the conversation. Done with caring. Stop thinking nonsense. That would require him to care in the first place. Still, he couldn't express how grateful he was when they finally got to the bus stop and he could sit down again. He leaned his head against the plexiglass, pressing his eyes close to fight off the wave of lightheadedness. Damn this all and some more. Eita. He glanced up, meeting Ushijima's gaze he couldn't describe otherwise than concerned. You don't look good. A sour chuckle escaped Semi's mouth. Thanks, Wakatoshi. Much appreciated. But he's right, you know. Now things were becoming serious. For Tendo to lack even a smidge of amusement in his voice always meant he was seriously worried. What is with you all today? I'm telling you I'm fine. But you don't look fine. Taichi, I swear to gods, if you join that bandwagon... He didn't finish, the words turning into a pained groan. The world spun violently with him, everything blurred, and then nothing. For a moment, he was sure he was dreaming. His vision came back only slowly, almost as if he was in a movie of sorts. He didn't feel anything, just a strange limbo as his brain started to catch up on the fact it wasn't just some random pair of legs he was looking at, but that those were his sneakers he wore for the hike. Painfully slow, he raised his head a bit and looked around, confused as to why he was on the pavement and everyone was looking at him. He's awake! Oh, thank goodness. How do you feel? Does something hurt? Did something hurt? He wasn't sure. His head, maybe. Why? Someone grabbed his hand and pressed a chocolate bar into his palm. Then Shirabu's face appeared in his vision, looking rather angry if he could say. Eat it, and chew properly! He wanted to ask why, but something about the way Shirabu looked at him silenced his question. He took a few stabilizing breaths, his consciousness taking a moment to clear out enough for him to raise his hand and take a small bite of the chocolate. Then another, and soon he was munching it down whole. He only realized there was a light pressure against his biceps when it disappeared. Judging by the fact Ushijima entered his field of vision around the same moment, his delayed mind concluded the captain was holding him in a sitting position. And also that all the others were looking severely relieved. What happened? You fainted! That happened! The snap in Shirabu's voice felt like a crack of a whip. Oh. Yeah. Oh! Why do you never listen to anyone? Huh? Is the great Semi-Eta too proud to admit he's not well for his own good? Shirabu, settle please. Clenching his jaw, Shirabu averted his eyes, grumbling something Semi didn't catch under his breath. You were worried about me? No. Why would I worry when my teammate suddenly faints? Of course I was worried. Shirabu, you're being a bit too obvious, you know? Whatever. He's dense even under normal circumstances. True. Hey, why are you suddenly so mean? I thought you were worried. Hayato rolled his eyes. Because you are a dumbass. But don't worry about it now. Should we call an ambulance? No, I don't think it's needed. Ushijima-san caught him in time so he didn't hit anything. He turned to Same. Based on what Yamagata-san told us, you probably had low blood sugar because you are an idiot and didn't eat. But you will go to a doctor, just to be sure. Since when are you my caretaker? I mean, if I trust someone with medical stuff, it's our Shirabu. Agreed. What do you do, Wakatoshi? Stop protesting all the time and for once do something good for your health. Sighing, Semi raked his fingers through his hair. Defeated, deflated, and completely done. Fine, I'll stop by the nurse tomorrow. That's our Eita. I'll take your word for it, but I'll kick your ass if you don't. Just when did I hear that before? Hayato snickered. Our team is in good hands next year. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I don't know why, but these painting in front of the teams are quite short. I don't know why, but they are. But hey, it's short and sweet. At least I hope so. So, yay. Now to another thing. Because I am a chronic procrastinator, I procrastinated on some stuff that needs to be done for school. So I'm not entirely sure how the schedule is going to look like in the next month. Hopefully I will be able to get at least some videos out, but I can't promise much. Like, the most I can promise is one video in 2 weeks, because I kinda ran out of the stuff that I already have prepared, and yeah, I'm not sure how much time I will have to write something new and edit and all that stuff. So keep that in mind, that April is going to be very slow and very sparse in terms of uploads. I'm sorry about that, but unfortunately that is what it is. If you have any requests or ideas, the request form is linked in the video description. See you next time.